We are the anchors of Queer News Tonight, and this evening we discuss the queer headlines. The next OUTShine Film Festival is here. Latin Spotlight Night and Axel Hotel Brunch screening of Lost Boys and Fairies from October 25th to the 26th. Don't miss out.
Major sports leagues launch a $50 million campaign, Time Out Against Hate to Combat Hate.
Father Andrew Wagstaff, 69, died in Antwerp after a drug-fueled gay sex encounter with another priest.
Governor Tim Walz and allies mobilize LGBTQ voters in Philadelphia, emphasizing equality and inclusive policies during a pivotal election push with key partners.
The DNC's I Will Vote initiative targets LGBTQ voters with a six-figure ad campaign in queer publications. Good evening. Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ daily evening television news, broadcasting live and available on demand on your favorite streaming channels. We are proud to announce that YouTube has recognized Queer News Tonight, certified by analytics company vidIQ, that we now have more than 9.5 million views. Queer News Tonight has more YouTube subscribers than any other LGBTQ brand in Florida. We thank you for watching and supporting our voice in our community. More than 500,000 of you have watched this show in the last 60 days, and we thank you. It is Monday, October 14th, 2024. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we're going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ evening news show. Whatever happens unique in LGBTQ news, you will see it and hear it.
Hotspots Magazine Happening Out Television Network is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model of PBS and NPR, but designed for the LGBTQ+ community. Our mission is to support the 11 pillars of our LGBTQ+ community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of lesbian, trans, Latino, Black, healthcare, seniors, students, faith, social justice, business, and queer culture. Help us support our community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ nonprofit media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network. In 2025, our magazine is celebrating 40 years of the LGBTQ experience, and our television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ and broader community.
Well, let's meet tonight's anchors at Queer News Tonight. First, let's welcome Mark Pettitt. Mark is a pioneering traveler and coordinated the very first gay pride parade on the continent of Antarctica. He is also a former Mr. Sawmill, Leather Sir, and he and his husband Luke run linksbyluke.com, the chainmail, harness, and pride accessory shop, and he's the founder of Hot Trash, the new clothing brand for anyone with an attitude that likes to show a little skin. Mark, the Leather Ball, Leather Weekend, will be held November 15th through the 17th at Sawmill. Can you tell us what's happening?
Absolutely. If you're interested in attending this, you would go to floridagaycamping.com. That is Sawmill's website. And there's going to be several contests held over the weekend. They have a newly refurbished pool that is opening up, and they did really well through the storm. So it's not just leather, though. I think that you can be leather, kink, puppy, just open-minded, or just like the look of guys in leather. So come on down and see us. Links by Luke and Hot Trash will be set up with our whole store in the Woody's Central area. We'd love to see you there.
I can't wait for it because I love a man in leather.
Come on down.
Let's welcome anchor Amy McGrotty. She is known as the real estateologist. She works alongside John Castelli and Rod Blacklock at Castelli Real Estate Services in Wilton Manors as part owner and residential and commercial sales. Amy is on the board of directors at the OUTShine Film Festival. Welcome, Amy.
Thank you.
Let's welcome Edward Otto Zielke. From a successful career in financial marketing to his current role as the Director of Marketing and Sponsorship for the Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida. Edward's journey is marked by accolades and achievements. The Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida is one of the world's largest and most important LGBTQ+ cultural arts organizations. Edward, the chic and unique Crystal Opulence Unleashed Ball is set for Saturday, November 2nd at the Westin Fort Lauderdale Beach Resort. Can you tell us what's happening?
Yes, absolutely. So this is going to be our annual gala fundraiser coming in November. It's going to be a Crystal Opulence Unleashed theme. So you're going to see lots of glitz and glamour. We've got some wonderful live auction items that we have available, for people. Brand G has donated a vacation, a 10-night LGBTQ+ cruise for two on the Atlantis World Voyager. It's valued at $22,000, so that's going up for auction. Also, Impact Encounters is doing a Croatian island adventure. They also donated that. It's valued around like $9,000. It's a 7-night stay on the cruise. It's limited to 34 guests. It's fantastic. So there's lots of ways, you can help support the organization. Definitely buy a ticket. Go to gmcsf.org and support our organization. Thank you.
Thank you.
And of course, this is tonight's lead anchor, Jamaal L. Starks, aka Porcelain. Jamaal is president of Impulse Group Miami, a spiritualist, wellness advocate, coach, and walks as a sex siren in the ballroom scene with the House of Gorgeous Gucci. He is a board member of the Legacy Builders Consulting Group and is a certified yoga instructor at the Miami Life Center in Wynwood. Welcome, Jamaal.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so happy to be, your lead anchor today. Let's have a little fun.
Absolutely.
We're the reporters for Queer News Tonight, and this evening we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBT community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast. Here are the bullet points for the queer news for today. First this evening, let's queer up South Florida and Florida. OUTShine brings Latin Spotlight Night and brunch with Lost Boys and Fairies at Axel Hotel. Miami is soon to witness a spicy weekend with 2 upcoming captivating events. The OUTShine Film Festival is here. One is the Latin Spotlight Night on Friday, October 25th, showcasing 2 Latin cinema gems. The Astronaut Lovers take center stage for men. It is a breezy Argentinian comedy where old friends blur the lines between friendship and romance. For women, The Muleteer offers a gripping 1930s story of a young girl's quest for freedom, love, and survival in war-torn Jalisco. The after party follows 9:45 p.m. with signature cocktails by Mexico Tequila, light bites, and entertainment at Silver Spot Cinema's Lounge. The second event will be on Saturday, October 26th, where you can join the Axel Hotel for brunch alongside the screenings of the exciting miniseries Lost Boys and Fairies. You can get more information and tickets at outshinefilm.com. Well, we are so thrilled to have Amy McGrotty here from the board. And we have a few questions about Latin Night and OUTShine's Film Festival here with us. So first up, Amy, why is it important to spotlight so many different identities, such as the men, the women, the Latinite with OUTShine?
Well, because that's what we are. We are all the different identities. We need the girls to show up to the movies, though. It's constantly a challenge, I must admit. I don't know why. But we have wonderful things coming up. I mean, you just mentioned the Latin nights in Miami because we have a pretty large Latin demographic in Miami. But the film festival this year, for the first time, is going to be held in both cities, Fort Lauderdale and Miami.
Oh,
We're
nice.
testing it this year.
Yeah.
Rather than 10 days in one city, we're doing some time in Lauderdale, and it'll be at the Gateway, the Savour, and then in Miami at the Spotlight and on the beach. And there's opening night parties, there's Latin parties, there's girl parties, there's boy parties. We're mixing up the boy and girl party too.
Oh, I love that. Yes.
The Axel this year. So that was at my insistence. I didn't like to be in the little room with 12 lesbians. There was a fabulous party outside.
Party with the boys.
I know.
So the next question was, do you have a favorite part of the festival? So now we know what your favorite part of the festival is.
Parties.
The parties. The parties.
I do like the parties and the camaraderie and seeing people come out. You know, I mean, we can all click a remote and see 400 gay movies on our television at any one time on the couch. But let's have the experience and let's commune together. That's why we're still doing it.
Yeah, and listen to each other's stories and listen to other stories. And it's beautiful that you guys are testing out Miami and Fort Lauderdale, because I think the problem, like with me, with other organizations, is getting people from Miami to come up here or getting people from there. And some people live in between, so they either prefer one over the other. So mixing it up really gets the people to participate and really show up. So why is this festival specifically important to you? How does it speak to you?
Well, I guess I just got involved so long ago as on the screening committee, and I like gay films. That's really it. I mean, I just like gay films. I'm not a filmmaker. I'm none of that. I'm just a person that likes films, and I like to see our stories.
Right.
And being an old broad, we didn't have this when I was coming out. You know what I mean? I was like 17 years old. I had Ruby Fruit Jungle was one book that I could read, and maybe one chapter in a woman's lib book or something, you know.
And I think you bring up a good point. You know, anybody can just click, and there's a lot of gay movies that are available to stream, but because they are primarily watched and available online, it's almost like our movies are still in the closet.
Yeah.
There is something just so proud about going to a theater and experiencing a movie, you know, just like heterosexual people do, seeing their storylines played out. And I think there's something really special in the community when you get to be around other people and hear them laughing at the same jokes or crying at the same moments. You get none of that at home. So I'm really excited about your weekends coming up.
Yeah, so come, guys. God, come. Bring people. It's really fun.
Girls, especially.
Girls,
Yes,
bring them along.
Ready? Okay, so let's queer up sports. Sports commissioners unite to stop hate. In a historic move, the heads of MLB, MLS, NBA, NFL, NHL, NWSL, WNBA, and NASCAR have launched a $50 million campaign called Time Out Against Hate.
Get tight.
This is the most important timeout I've ever called.
Things are getting out of control out there.
And we need to regroup.
Hate.
Hate.
Hate is winning out there.
Not on these fields.
In our communities.
On our streets.
In our schools.
And we need to stop it.
So let's take this moment
To change the momentum.
and call a timeout
On hate. Together.
Together.
Backed by the Foundation to Combat Anti-Semitism, founded by New England Patriots owner Robert Kraft, the initiative aims to harness the power of sports to spread awareness. Kraft said, quote, "Why in sports do you take a timeout? You do when you want to regroup. You want to make adjustments. You want to win," end quote. They hope this campaign will similarly recalibrate the country's attitude towards hate. The campaign will feature a television commercial during Thursday Night Football this week, starring sports icons like Shaquille O'Neal and Billie Jean King, encouraging viewers to pause and reflect. The initiative marks the first time all these leagues have united for a common cause. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell said, quote, "I think all of us came to learn and be educated on what's really going on in our society," end quote. Many LGBTQ plus activists praised the sports league's call for better words and actions for all of us. Well, I'm just thrilled that, when you take sports in general and, allowing the LGBTQ plus community to not only participate, but just to be proud of it too. When I was growing up, there weren't a lot of, sports figures that I identified with, especially that were LGBTQ. I mean, I did hear about Billie Jean King and, but there was no representation for me. So I didn't really appreciate it growing up. And so, now when I'm hearing about athletes coming out and representation, and then you're getting sports leagues and major sponsors talking about inclusivity and getting, awareness about our issues, I think it's fantastic.
I think this story, too, goes even beyond our community, and it's perfectly timed with the election. And They did that intentionally from a story that I read, so I love that.
And for me, I think something that really stands out about this is really just in the verbiage, in the title of it, that it's about stopping hate. I think so many times in our community, especially, that we put this cute little label of homophobia on what people feel. They're not scared of us. That's not what it's about. Mm-hmm. It is hate, and it's time to call a spade and go after it.
I really love this because for so long, for someone who is athletic, someone who enjoys sports, when I go to sporting events or when I am in a crowd of people at a sporting event, I feel excluded because of the perception that people have. I think people play on the perception they have of what you should act like at a sporting event. This machismo, this sort of tough, and it excludes or it looks down upon others because, of course, we're seen as weak men, gay men as weak, but we're not. We can do all of the things. We just had a slew of stories about, how gay the Olympics was, how much, didn't we have a team, LGBTQ nation?
Yes.
And we were winning a bunch of medals. So also getting out of the echo chamber and getting into the homes of those one-track minds, I would say. Those one-track minds, those people who live and breathe football, live and breathe hockey, live and breathe baseball every day. They don't have messaging like this. They don't have the actual organization standing up for the marginalized, for the other. And so this is a beautiful, beautiful step. I think y'all can spend a little bit more money.
I'm just glad that in our state, that they're very inclusive, our sports teams. The gay men's chorus has sung the national anthem at the Miami Marlins, the Florida Panthers. And so, it's spoken over the years just how important that inclusivity is to our teams here. So, for a state like ours, which tends to be questionable, it's always a good positive thing for me.
All right. Next, let's queer up the worldview. Drug-fueled night leads to British priest's death. A British priest, Father Andrew Wagstaff, 69, tragically died after a drug-fueled night of gay sex with another Anglican priest, Father Bernard, 60, who has since been arrested. The incident occurred in Antwerp, Belgium, where the two reportedly used ecstasy and poppers together. After Wagstaff fell ill and lost consciousness, Father Bernard called emergency services. Despite efforts to revive Wagstaff, he was pronounced dead shortly after midnight. Authorities found 2 ecstasy pills at the scene. Bernard has been charged with drug trafficking, resulting in death, although the autopsy hasn't confirmed the exact cause. A bishop will decide whether Bernard can retain his church position. Wagstaff had recently retired from his role as chaplain of St. Boniface Church in Antwerp, while Bernard was visiting Belgium during Pope Francis's trip. This incident follows another scandal in April where a Polish Catholic priest was sentenced to 18 months in prison after a male sex worker overdosed during a gay adult play party. This really bothers me because almost every news outlet is covering this as a sex and drug story. When you Google these fathers' names, it's the exact same kind of scandalous verbiage about it. Nowhere except here are we talking about his life, his contributions, how he was forced to live a secret life by the church. He really stood up for the church's values in protecting some of its youngest congregants. He raised a whole lot of money to expand the church during COVID, something that was absolutely unheard of. He connected disabled people with counseling and getting them the services that they needed. So I'm not really shocked by somebody in their 60s or 70s living kind of a life of repression and kind of just trying to find any way to feel something out there. So my heart just goes out to him and the people who loved his message. And hopefully this really kind of drives home the point of why being out, it really is important. It sometimes is a life and death thing because it determines the decisions and the risks that you're willing to make based on the value that you see within yourself.
I love the way you put that. Right before you spoke, I wrote down coping, mental health, and spirituality and repression. And so this story really speaks to the toll that it takes when you repress parts of yourself. And no matter how good you do, no matter what good you put out into the world, it takes a toll. It takes a toll when you're not your full authentic self. And sometimes we have to cope in different ways. Yeah. And one of the darkest parts about our community is the toxic drug use and the ways in which we seek pleasure and the ways in which we cope with things through sex and other avenues. And it shows that it's not just the young ones in the club. It's just not just, it shows that it is vast. It is spread across the board. It is from different backgrounds. No matter who you are, these things can affect you within our community. And I think we really need to start speaking openly about these things. We really need to normalize these conversations. In our community here in South Florida, someone who was very known, very valuable, transitioned, I like to use the word transition, not passed away, from drug use. And I think this is the time that we really need to start having these conversations. And not only having these conversations, but starting to enact harm reduction tactics in our community, really take them seriously, and also take the responsibility of really checking in on our people when they're, because it's just so ironic to me that we're talking about the men of God, we're talking about spiritually filled people who are where people go for their emotional and their mental stability, coping with repression.
Yeah.
It's a lot to unpack. It really is. I mean, when you sit there and you dissect all of this in terms of you have Catholic priests, obviously, doing things behind closed doors, needing mind-altering substances to get some sort of an arousal. There's so much there to unpack. It's we really have to start with the Catholic religion itself in terms of maybe we're a little stoic. I'm seeing this series on Hulu called Grotesquerie, and they have this. And I've just been watching it, and they have this priest that very, very modern thinking, in terms like this. I haven't seen the whole thing yet, but yeah, I mean, you're starting to see it creep up in entertainment, and maybe that and you're seeing it in other religions too, that it's accepting to be a gay priest or whatever it is. So they have a lot of work to do.
Mm-hmm. That's what I thought about when I initially heard the story too. Is I don't know much about religion. I'm not a religious person, but I've always thought it was odd that priests can't, have sex, get married, whatever. And I worked in gay bars when I was a young little lesbian. And those priests were in there all the time picking people up, you know what I mean? And so they were repressed, and it was sad, and it is sad. And why don't they just let priests be human?
And I don't know why there's not, maybe it's something that, the idea is just kind of coming to me now, but I've never seen out there any kind of website or resource for just kind of smart rules for partying. Let's keep the judgment away from it, because I think anytime you judge,
it has been fun.
You also hello, because anytime you judge, I think you also push people away from recovery when they need it, because they're in such a place of shame. But where is the website that tells you that you probably shouldn't do ecstasy after a certain age, that you shouldn't mix erection medication with poppers, and that can be fatal, that if you are going to do something like a GHB, well, you better be drinking a ton of water. Right. I think we stigmatize the use of it so much that we are not out there just giving people kind of like a friendly guidelines, like, if you use heroin, use a clean needle, that kind of thing.
I have a healthy fear to all of this because, I have not experimented with street drugs. So, I'm very petrified of putting any type of chemical into my own body in terms of like wondering what it's going to do. I have a doctor that's wonderful and insists that knowing everything I put in my body, including multivitamins. So it's like, to add another chemical into my own system, it just would not work.
Well, I'm so happy you brought that up, Mark, because if you go to Impulse Group, if you go to Impulse Group, if you go to our, yes, I can interject this. If you go to our any one of our social medias, there's Impulse Group Miami. There's a chapter in Miami, Orlando, DC, LA. We have a drug chart that tells you what you can and cannot mix, what will be fatal. That gives you an entire guideline. It's actually one of our most popular things to give out when we're at.
That is phenomenal.
Yes, and I have tons of cards, like flyers that I give out, and people are like, "Oh my God!" And on the backside is all the STDs and what you can get, what you can catch, how you can catch it, what the symptoms are, etc. And if you do need to get to a place, you can go to AHF to get yourself checked for STDs. And for drug use, we also give out Narcan and testing strips. So at our next event, see you at our next event. You can see me for Narcan or testing strips. And actually we'll be reaching out to the community to also have this conversation of where y'all would like to have this conversation, like where we would like to have this conversation and really get out the word, or really advocate for, we're not going to tell you what to do, but do it safely. Harm reduction practices, which is very, very necessary in this day and age, because people are going to do what they're going to do.
I knew
and
I
we're
liked
just guessing, too. We're just guessing.
We're just guessing.
Right. All right, you ready?
We ready.
Next, let's queer up politics. Governor Tim Walz joins LGBTQ mobilization efforts ahead of election. Last week, longtime LGBTQ allies Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and his wife Gwen joined efforts to mobilize queer voters and their supporters. This event was part of a larger upcoming 10-day push by the Harris-Walz campaign to energize voters in key battleground states ahead of the high-stakes election. The campaign, in partnership with the Human Rights Campaign, Out for Harris-Walz, and Pennsylvania Democrats, hosted a rally in Philadelphia featuring Gwen Walz, HRC President Kelly Robinson, and Pennsylvania State Representatives Malcolm Kenyatta and Andre Carroll. The event was one of over 160 planned actions across states to boost turnout among equality voters, those who prioritize inclusive policies, Robinson said. The American people know that we deserve leaders with a vision to ensure that we don't just get by, but have the chance to get ahead. Those leaders are Vice President Kamala Harris and Governor Tim Walz. The Harris-Walz campaign's 10 days of action followed a $2 million HRC ad campaign targeting LGBTQ voters in swing states like Arizona, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. HRC's recent report highlights that equality voters, 37% of the electorate in 2020, delivered a 60-point margin for Joe Biden in 2020 and could again play a decisive role in 2024. Governor Walz, a former teacher and Gay Straight Alliance advisor, has consistently supported queer youth throughout his career. His actions underscore the campaign's focus on protecting marginalized communities and ensuring that they have a voice at the polls.
We are so excited to launch Out for Biden-Harris. As the great Harvey Milk once said, rights are won only by those who make their voices heard. And because you made your voices heard, marriages are more secure, and Joe Biden is our president, a president who elevated LGBTQI plus leaders to every level of our administration, who fights for the safety and freedom and dignity of all people every single day.
We believe LGBTQ plus rights are human rights.
We will do what we have always done in this movement, in this community, which is collectively, we will continue to build unity. We will continue to build coalition. We will always be fueled by knowing we have so much more in common than what separates us. We will be fueled by knowing we are all in this together.
What do you say?
Please text OUT to 30330 to join us.
I love this whole election that is going on right now. I'm ready to just do it already, but it's allowing Kamala to come out and be known as to who she is, because before it all happened, before she threw her hat in the ring, I was like, she's not a great public speaker. She's a little stiff, and I'm not going to vote for someone just because they're a woman or just because they're gay or any other reason, just because I look at the issues. So she's really coming out and showing the issues. And then I have Republican friends. You guys, I don't get it. Why you like Trump? He's not a Republican, and I've had Republican friends for years, and we have a healthy debates over the years. And it's no longer that anymore. So I love that she went in at the end. And the thing that sticks out for me, the Republican friends, is, first of all, they're clinging to this misinformation, which is driving me nuts, and it's dangerous. And second of all, it's like, it's about the money. And capital gains are going to be this. I'm like, listen, capital gains, Kamala is not going to raise your capital gains to 48% because she doesn't have the power to do that. We have 3 branches of government, so let's go back to basics. Let's have a discussion, and I try not to be condescending when I give this elementary school lesson, but it's happening more frequently now. But the bottom line is, I'd vote for a Republican. I'm a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat for generations. Mm-hmm. But I would vote for a Republican if the Democratic nominee was Donald Trump. It's not about, I guess they're saying country above party now. I love that. And Liz being out and her father being out. We're in a dangerous time, so I'm hoping that there's a loud minority out there, and we are a quiet majority that's just going to go vote and make it happen, and we'll see what the aftermath is when they claim they won again.
Yeah, I'm done. I already voted. Voted by mail. Get it done early, and I will be going out to the polls as a poll worker, and no, actually, like working with the machines and making sure people aren't getting intimidated when they're in there. And I think this is very interesting to hear about this kind of group of equality voters, and it always just makes me think. Very first, number one, I just don't really see it as equality. I just see it just simply as dignity and giving each group their dignity. I don't necessarily want to be equal to anybody in any certain ways. I'm going to be better than you at certain things, but I do deserve, no matter what I am, dignity. So it does just make me wonder, like, if you're not voting for equality and for dignity, then you must be in a comfortable position where you don't want to give up any of that dignity for other people. So I did my job. I hope you do too out there.
I also just dropped off my ballot yesterday. And to your point, you said that you don't want to be condescending when you're having these conversations, but it's lately, I've dropped out of the conversations because I was like, I'm just going to vote and that's it.
I'm in and out.
Because it has been a conversation that I find draining, because I feel like I'm having a conversation about humanity. Mm-hmm. Just a baseline humanity, and everything else is just over people's heads with misinformation, and the misinformation that people stand on, it has no basis in humanity. It has no basis in treating another person with dignity.
It's what's in it for me.
It's what's in it for me. It's for me. It shows the levels and the depth that America has been built on for years. And it shows the ugly side. Sometimes we have to face our shadow self. And we facing our shadow self, I said this in 2016 when it comes to Trump. This is your mirror, America. This is your mirror, darling. Man. This is your mirror. And so now we're coming to terms with our shadowy sides. And back to your point, I was like, Kamala's team, this strategy is the execution. Now, you can talk about her, you can talk about whatever, but the execution that I have seen since they turned over, her team is just like on it.
Perfect.
They're not missing any mark. And this digitized social media push, that's where you win. That's where you really gain, like the Gen Zers and the equality voters. That's where you gain the most traction. And what I really do commend her for, or her team for, is really like flying past the BS. Mm-hmm. Flying past the BS and just putting it right there and just being like, this is it. This is the campaign, and just go out and vote.
It's so inspiring just to see that this presidential campaign, is so, one of the key issues is LGBTQ plus, individuals and issues, and I don't think it's ever been this visible in terms of a campaign. So, I remember campaigns going back to the Ronald Reagan years. So, I mean, back then it was such a taboo subject, in anything, because it was related to AIDS or something like that. But now we have so much resources, and it's so great now that we're so visible on the highest platform in our country. So.
Well, let's clear up more politics. Let's move on. DNC launches historic ad campaign targeting LGBTQ voters. The Democratic National Committee is making history with its first ever targeted advertising campaign for LGBTQ voters by launching a six-figure ad buy across various queer publications nationwide. The I Will Vote initiative aims to engage LGBTQ voters in crucial battleground states ahead of the presidential election and U.S. House and Senate races. Initially, the campaign will feature ads in 16 publications, expanding weekly, and is projected to reach 1 million voters within the first week. DNC Chair Jamie Harrison said, quote, "This historic investment comes from Democrats' aims to meet voters where they are, recognizing the LGBTQ plus community is a large and diverse voting bloc that we are not taking for granted," end quote. The ads, which read, "Freedom is on the ballot, make a plan to vote," directs readers to iwillvote.com for voter registration and election information. Publications involved include Washington Blade, Metro Weekly, and our own Hotspots, and the Georgia Voice, with special timing for Atlanta Pride and Our Fest in Philadelphia. This ad buy coincides with a 10-day mobilization effort by the Kamala Harris and Tim Walz campaign in collaboration with the Human Rights Campaign and local Democrats, which kicked off with a rally in Philadelphia. And here we go again. I mean, we're back to this strategy. Like, this execution by her team is absolutely amazing. when I wrote down Peter Buttigieg, from who we reported right before that he was on the list.
He was on the VP list.
Nomination to be the VP pick. And we were like, yeah, that would be amazing. But this Tim Walz pick, now that I'm really analyzing it all the way down the layers, like he was a Gay Straight Alliance
coordinator.
Yes. Okay, now I see you, Harris.
And as governor, he protects trans rights and medical care. I was just on the way here listening on NPR. Trump's attacking him. He likes the transvestites or whatever. He doesn't even use the right word. You know what I mean? This guy, so he's picking on him, but it's just because it's a safe space for trans people.
I'm so comfortable with Tim Walz. You know, he's like the father that at least I wish I had, because, you know, I mean, he's just so, he's so encompassing and so relatable, and, you know, everybody's hero, it just feels like, you know, it's fantastic.
Maybe it'll help with the Midwest.
Yeah, and this whole theme of I will vote and kind of creating that commitment and a certain level of accountability is, I think, something that people respond to, and it's just a really smart approach. But if you are like us and you've already voted, your job is far from done. I think if you want to make a difference out there, you can volunteer as a poll worker. You can check with local voting activists and see what they need help with. Get in touch with Dolphin Democrats if you're like a local here in our area of South Florida. I really don't think that this close to an election that very many people are changing their minds.
No.
But they will make up or change their minds about even just getting out there to vote, sometimes based on what the environment looks like or what that particular day looks like. So even if you already have voted, it's now time to put your energy towards, you know, helping the people who will need to get there on that election day, and making sure that whether it's a social commitment or giving somebody a ride or working with one of these organizations, there's still a lot of work to do.
Yeah, and educating, you know, everybody in terms of how to vote. Our organization, the Chorus, is partnering with Arts Action Fund, and we're just kind of getting the message out there in terms of, you know, from an arts perspective, you know, what the deadlines are and where you can vote, and where, you know, we have Florida specific points where, you know, you can go and get information. So it's important for us, you know, to even get the message out. You know, we can't come out, you know, for a political party, but, you know, we support legislation, so it's important to us as well.
And I appreciate the publications and the people that research. Like I said earlier, I don't vote for someone just because they're gay, but I'll vote for someone because of the way they treat us. So I want to know their record. And we can't research all of them, the judges, the senators, all the. So thank you to Dolphin Democrats and you know, Hotspots and all the other magazines that guide us and give us a little background on those candidates. I appreciate that.
Most definitely. And Impulse, I wore my Impulse shirt for a reason.
The resource center.
The resource center. We did a Vote ER push this past weekend. For the past few weeks, we've been getting clicks for people to check on their voters' registration. And also you can check your sample ballot, and you can also register to vote. We know that Florida, the cutoff time is finished, so we're done with that. And also the Legacy Builders, we had a voter pop-up event at No Manor and a panel educating people on different perspectives and why it's so important for us as marginalized people and the impact that it had. And that had a very huge impact, because some of the feedback from the audience and some of the feedback I got was a lot of people did not know other people's experiences and why voting was so impactful for, I was on the panel, me as a Black, gay, queer man, you know, and we had a cis woman on the panel, and cis Black woman, and she told the stories about like her fear for her kids. You know, voting is one of our only powers that we have ever had, and we fought so hard to get it. So this is the reason why voting is so important, and it was so impactful because so many people were like, we did not even know. One person even said that that they just used to vote because they were told to. They didn't even think there was a significance behind it, and he didn't care what president went into office. And so now this, which makes this so much more impactful, that the DNC is putting this in our publications. Like we're getting revenue and we're getting the word out to people. Like for me, I tell people, I don't care who you vote for. I just want you to vote. I just want you to make your voice heard, because when the numbers, it always shows, and I said this before, and I have it on my Instagram, the numbers show that when we go out and vote, we swing the needle. Progress is made. Something happens, something turns.
Absolutely. And I just want to point out, too, that the last day to request your vote by mail ballot in Florida is October 24th at 5 p.m. So you definitely have time to get in there and get your ballot.
So go. I'm going to post on our social media, on Impulse Group, and also my social media, and you can click and you can request your mail by ballot with that link that I post. So go to Impulse Group Miami or at Porcelain, and I will put the link up, and you can request your mail-in ballot. Your mail-in ballot. And you can also, I think, check your ballot, your
to make
sample
sure it was
ballot.
counted.
Your sample ballot. I think you can.
They get them. They're sending them through the mails and stuff too. But the ballot, the deadline for that is the 24th. But the completion deadline is November 5th. So you have up until that point.
Oh wow!
Yeah, they really pulled a fast one legislatively with all the people who are registered to vote by mail. I'm sure that y'all heard about this, where basically it was just all canceled and everybody had to renew. And now you have to renew this request for a mail-in ballot. And there's a lot of people that are just waiting for it to come, and it's not going to come. So go to Impulse Group.
Yes. And click on the link.
Next, let's queer up gay culture. Roger Thomson and Jim Tyrrell presented the Community Service Award at the Task Force Gala on October 19th. At the upcoming National LGBTQ Task Force Gala on October 19th in Miami Beach, former Task Force Board co-chair Roger Thomson and SAVE advocate Jim Tyrrell will be presented with the prestigious Edie McIntyre Community Service Award. This award recognizes individuals who have significantly contributed to the South Florida LGBTQ community through their time, talent, and financial support. The gala serves as a pivotal celebration for South Florida LGBTQ community, offering a night for allies and advocates to unite and celebrate progress. This year's theme for the gala is Roots of Progress, Blooms of Hope. For more information and to purchase tickets, visit thetaskforce.org/task-force-gala.
Welcome to a celebration where we nurture hope for our community. Join us for the National LGBTQ Task Force Gala, Roots of Progress, Blooms of Hope. This year, we gather to honor our journey together and envision a future where our dreams blossom into reality. Experience an evening where your support fuels change, and every moment is a testament to our collective strength. From inspiring performances to powerful stories, each element of the night is designed to celebrate and uplift our community. Get ready for an evening of celebration and impact. Hosted by actor and musician Jay Rodriguez. Honoring Karamo, Jim Tyrrell, and Roger Thomson. See you on Saturday, October 19th as we celebrate our journey and fuel our future. Your presence makes all the difference. See you there.
This is going to be an absolutely spectacular event, and I think one that really speaks to the heart of why we do this queer news tonight in the first place, that there is so much awesome work being done out there in our world that really goes unrecognized, that happens behind the scenes, whether that's in a community clinic or in a nonprofit chorus or whatever the case might be. A lot of that work happens behind the scenes. So to give these folks really a night to celebrate them and pull them out from behind the line in terms of work, I think is an amazing thing. And I really think this is going to be a phenomenal event.
It is.
Same. And as an ambassador for the Task Force Gala, see, another plug.
Come on, Impulse. Come on.
Another plug. Well, this is Jamaal Starks. Jamaal Starks is an ambassador for the Task Force Gala after Global. Oh, there it is, and it's on my page. You can go after the actual formal part of the Task Force Gala. We'll have an afterglow ball with a bunch of presentations and performances. Please come out. It's an amazing time. This is my 3rd year. Shout out to Jeff Oliveira, which is my boo, who always asks me to Oliverio, thank you. Who always asks me to ambassador this amazing event. I always have fun. It's a fun time. You can go to houseoftrouble.org for your tickets to the Afterglow Ball, and you can come see me because I'm going to be there, you know, pretty and all the things.
You're going to be sexy. You can say it.
I'm thinking about my outfit. I haven't come up with it yet.
You better get busy.
Yeah, it's going to come together.
There's not going to be much to it, probably.
Maybe I need to get some of your
Let's a little hot trash you up a little bit. We'll talk.
Or the chain.
Actually, I have something in mind. We will talk.
Okay.
You're going to die.
Okay.
In a good way.
In a good way.
I think the theme and the graphics are beautiful too.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love their theme and graphics this year. I was amazed.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Next, we are proud of our special sponsorship with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. Supporting that partnership, we're broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine Cathedral at the Happening Out television studios. We broadcast Sunshine Cathedral's Sunday International Service at 10:30 a.m.
Visit Lauderdale, everyone under the sun. We finish tonight's queer news headlines with a segment we call LGBTQ 1 Minute News.
LGBTQ plus 1 Minute News, let's queer up entertainment. Jonathan Bailey soars with Ariana defying gravity. Wicked the soundtrack and Wicked Part 1 will hit theaters and streaming platforms on November 22nd.
Everyone, I have an announcement. You're gonna be popular. I'll show you what shoes to wear, how to fix your hair, everything that really counts to be
dancing through life, mindless and careless. Make sure you're wearless when you're dancing through life.
And I just had a vision, almost like a prophecy. What is this feeling? I got us tickets.
You coming?
Everyone.
Story has always kind of resonated with me, I think, in a lot of LGBTQ plus people. So it's so wonderful to see this come to life.
Yeah, yeah.
We saw the poster up for this when I think we were going to see the Deadpool and Wolverine. I was this close to snatching that thing right out. It's such impressive in terms of like graphics and what it's going to look and sound like. I think it's going to be iconic.
I mean, just hearing Ariana Grande and, oh God, I forget her name, sing together.
Oh, Cynthia
Urbino. Sing together live. And they were talking, and to hear one of their interviews where they said, like the harmonies just started to meld and gel together. It was just like magic. Oh, I can't wait to hear what came out of their mouths onto the screen.
It's going to be great. And the sets look amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Graphics, all that. Oh. And the guy's cute too, right?
He's really cute.
That sure don't hurt. Absolutely. But I do think that this could be kind of like, this generation's Wizard of Oz, kind of identifying sort of story of being cast as the villain in people's lives and not really coming from that place at all in who you are. I think a lot of us, I think that's why we really resonate with it.
I embrace my villain, but
he's friends with his shadow.
I am.
All right, LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up students and youth. The NFL donates $100,000 to the Trevor Project. On National Coming Out Day, Carl Nassib, the first openly gay active NFL player, announced that the NFL has donated an additional $100,000 to the Trevor Project. Nassib first came out in 2021 while playing for the Las Vegas Raiders and initially donated $100,000 to the organization, with the NFL matching that contribution. The Trevor Project provides critical support for LGBTQ youth, including suicide prevention resources. The new donation strengthens the NFL's ongoing support for LGBTQ causes. Nassib retired from football in 2023 and now focuses on his company, Raise, a social media platform connecting donors with nonprofits. I will tell you what, since this man has come out, I have seen nothing but fantastic work and messages and organizations coming together. I think he is just such a wonderful role model out there. We've been talking so much about kind of the environment that sports can create and that people, it feels like it might be pushing away. But it only takes a few people like this to really provide the message, to provide a contradictory message and just let people know that there is another option out there for how you feel about our community.
And also people like this is why people need to be in certain rooms and certain positions in order, because the Raise, connecting organizations with donors, that's so needed. Because
absolutely.
when we all know with organizations, finding donors, finding sponsors, finding the money and the resources, that's most of the 90% of the work is getting the funding. And so to create a platform where that connection piece can just be, he's just bridging the gap. I'm just loving that he's in this position and being such a light. That's amazing. That's moving. LGBTQ plus 1 Minute News. Let's queer up sports. Billie Jean King leads Rose Parade as Grand Marshal. Tennis legend Billie Jean King will serve as Grand Marshal for the 2025 Rose Parade on January 1st. This marks the second time a gay athlete has been honored with this role. First was Greg Louganis. King is a pioneering figure in women's sports and has been instrumental in the growth of professional women's tennis. She was one of the first openly gay athletes and continues to advocate for equality. Beyond tennis, King co-owns the Los Angeles Dodgers and supports the elevation of women's ice hockey. The Rose Parade will precede the Rose Bowl, continuing the New Year's celebration in Southern California. Go Billie Jean King. Like, even after I retire, I'm still legend and still icon. That's what I'm talking about. That's the type of I'm on. Like, that's the thing I'm on. Like, I am still here. And I am still pushing, and I'm still connecting, and I'm still being a light. Go off, girl.
I'm so glad they're celebrating her. I feel like, throughout her career, she's had a little bit of a bum rap. But, I think, with her visibility, and I met her about 20 years ago at an Out and Equal conference, and she was just such a wonderful, lovely person, spoke so well. And so, it's tennis stars or sports stars like this that, that might have been forgotten, but, that are honored in a Rose Bowl parade. I mean, wow, that's fantastic.
So deserving.
Yeah, she is. Legend was the first word that came up in my mind when you hear about her. I think she was really like the first out and proud lesbian that I was familiar with, like as a young kid, and she is still building and creating a legacy one day at a time with everything that she does.
Truly a brave pioneer. Yeah. Everyone we've been talking about. Yeah. LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up gay culture. Fire Island goes all fire in new hot calendar. The highly anticipated Red Hot calendar for 2025 has arrived, sparking excitement among its fans. Launched in 2013 by acclaimed fashion photographer Thomas Knights, the project celebrates the beauty of red hair. Over the years, the project has raised approximately $94,000 for various charitable causes. This year, a portion of the calendar's proceeds will go to In the Bag. The 2025 edition features the stunning landscapes of Fire Island, where the sun-soaked beaches meet the vibrant beauty of red-headed models. The brand also launched a new book, Red Hot Desire. Both the calendar and the book are available on the official site, redhot100.com. Okay, hot redheads for all you guys out there. Enjoy.
I forgot to scroll the teleprompter during that story. Oh my goodness. And I have seen the first calendar. It is amazing. And talk about some people I think that get a bad rap. I don't think as much anymore, but you know, back in the day there was the joke that like redheaded people didn't have souls. Oh yes, that was like that was the main insult. I think they're beautiful.
When I was growing up, it was redhead. I always said, "You must be Irish." You know, that was the only thing I thought of when I was a kid. But yeah, as you get older and stuff, it's amazing that we get to celebrate, you know, any part of what, you know, we desire in the LGBTQ plus community. You know, people enjoy having, you know, their partners with red hair. And so why not?
Yeah. Blonde.
Whatever
I'm feeling for the day.
Calico.
Whatever makes you special. Somebody likes that especially.
Yeah.
Probably.
True.
All right, LGBTQ 1 minute news. Let's queer up entertainment. Cher announces an Evening With book tour. Cher has unveiled details for her An Evening With book tour, set for late 2024. The legendary pop star will discuss her upcoming memoir, Cher the Memoir, Part 1, during a series of 5 live events across the US and UK. The tour starts in New York on 20th of November, followed by stops in Englewood, Beverly Hills, and San Francisco. On the 25th of November, she will make an exclusive appearance in London at the Lyceum Theatre. Sadly, tickets are sold out. Fans will hear Cher herself reflect on her early life and career, including her marriage to Sonny Bono. For more details, visit harpercollins.com. When I saw this story, the very first thing I thought was, Cher, you better be doing this in a stadium. And sure enough, some of it is already sold out. But I love that the tour is just called like An Evening With. She doesn't even need her name. Like, she's gone from having a first name and a last name to just having a first name now. She doesn't even need the name and the title.
Right.
And people still are buying it till they sell out. I love it.
And boy, has she been in the public eye for so long, and she manages to stay classy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. She's an icon. And, you know, I can't even think of a time when, you know, Cher has not influenced my life in some sort of way. So, you know, just to hear about the book and like the early years, you know, of her, you know, with Sonny Bono and stuff, it was such a magical time, you know, seeing their variety shows on TV. It was just so wonderful. So, yeah, I can't wait to read it.
And I think she's come to terms with Chastity and her with Cher, and they get along now. That was very public thing that they went through. It was hard. But I think everything's fabulous now. Hey, is that what you guys are hearing?
I think so.
I think we're all good.
Good. Yeah, that's cool.
All right, LGBTQ 1 minute news. Let's queer up South Florida and Florida. 30 years of tradition as iconic Ramrod announces Mr. Ramrod 2025. On October 13th, Fort Lauderdale's Ramrod Bar celebrated 30 years of tradition as they held the Mr. Ramrod 2025 contest. With the exception during the COVID pandemic, the bar has held the contest every year since they opened in September of 1994. The event was hosted by our own Elimination Onyx and featured a panel of judges from various parts of the community, including Ramrod owner Zach, who was Mr. Marlin Beach. There were 3 contestants, and the winner of the competition was Sam Santa. He hopes to help reduce stigma associated with addiction and to create opportunities for community members seeking help with their recovery. I am just so excited about this inspiring platform that he's taken on, the strength needed to get on a recovery track, to stay on a recovery track, and ultimately to possibly be the reason that somebody else seeks recovery in their life. I think seeing this kind of message on a leather platform, it does help to keep us kind of balanced and talking about these issues and making sure that people feel okay kind of coming out with what they do need help with. So congratulations, Sam. Thank you for what you do for our leather community, the kink community. Keep going. We are watching you this year.
Well, that is today's news for the LGBTQ+ community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ+ evening show. If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform.
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
And I am your anchor, Jamaal L. Starks, and on behalf of these LGBTQ reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Mark Pettitt, Edward Otto Zielke, and Amy McGrotty, we will see you daily at 8 p.m. Let's remind you that the presidential election is just 21 days away. Let me say that again. The presidential election is just 21 days away. Stand up for equality, rights, and representation. Make sure that you're registered, ready to cast your ballot. Let's make history and let's vote for a better future. You can also go to Impulse Group Miami and click on the link and I will have it there. And to all of you, good night.
Good night.
Bye.